That's okay. Don't think we have anyone here yet, but we'll see, as so often happens. Um, but I think we ended up with a few right towards the end. So I hope everyone has had a good weekend or a good weekend so far, and that it continues in the last few hours. I keep mentioning that really my days are much the same. A Wednesday is very much like Sunday, which is very much like Thursday. But that's not bad. To some, it sounds horrible. Um, and I guess it could be taken that way when the days just seem to flow together without a great distinction. But you know what? I don't watch TV anymore. Not that there's not some shows on Hulu or Netflix that I don't mind catching from time to time, or FX. I love The Bear. I love Reservation Dogs, um, and a few other things. So I'll catch them, not too often, but every once in a while. So you know, my day, what's on TV. I'm not working an actual job right now. I haven't for some time. I had my own training business. William H is here. William, how are you? I know you can't answer. So let me just say I hope that you're well. Um, yeah, you know, I worked middle management retail for a long time. I fell into it. I was good at it. I kept getting promoted. I fell into retail. I got promoted to manager, um, and then occasionally threatened with district manager and regional manager. And I would almost inevitably ask for a demotion or go to another work another job. Man, getting caught up in that, I probably would have done well. I might have been happy. Um, but you know what? I doubt I would have been happy. Maybe I would have done well, but I wouldn't have been happy because you get so bogged down. You don't have much of a life except for 2 weeks a year and weekends occasionally. Honestly, guys, I think we're caught up in the wrong thought stream of what we think of as success. Why wait until you're 65? Grim Nupu says, Sup, Yogi? How's your day going? It's going well. I'm actually talking about that, about having a good day. Um, but almost every day is good. There's little variance, and yet it's always filled with some kind of beauty, if that makes sense. That because I'm not working a regular job right now, um, fortunately, and we'll see what happens if I go back into the workforce or not. Um, I'd like not to. I was talking about, I spent a lifetime doing middle management in retail, and then I started my own training business because I'd been a certified personal trainer for a long time. I worked in gyms um, for a while. I got certified with kettlebells, and it was a great way to bring to people's homes and help them get in shape. And I did quite well um, up until I had to full time be a caregiver for my father. And then with COVID, I couldn't afford to go to people's houses or bring them to mine. I refused to even entertain the notion that my father would die alone if I could help it, that he wouldn't be isolated in a hospital. He had congestive heart failure. He was 93 years old. Um, so I shut my business down and took care of him for his remaining time. The best thing I've ever done with my life, that and being a caregiver for my mom with Alzheimer's. Let's see. Grim says, let's see. Mine's good. Stoic life. I had to take my Graham to the grocery store. Nice. Man, serving the people, serving the people that we love. There's nothing better. Serving the people that loved us so much through everything that we've been through in life, unconditionally. I don't know about you. I never had any single doubt that my grandmother loved me at all. I would have done anything for my grandmother. Um, I had a little bit of a contentious relationship with my mom, and when she started slipping into Alzheimer's, we sort of had a unspoken understanding that we're now approaching new ground, never before stepped upon by either one of us, and it's a clean slate. That there's no more contention. There's only love. There's only forgiveness, and there's only understanding. And I made a promise, again, all unspoken. I made a promise that I would never say to my mom, "Don't you listen? I just told you. Pay attention. How many times do I have to tell you?" All those things that we say when we're impatient that you can't say to someone with Alzheimer's because they only know the moment. There is no "I just." There's only right now. Grim says she's 87, lives alone. She smokes 4 packs a day. Um, Good on her. Living life that she wants to live. Pokemon says, "Hey Yogi, good to see you." Good to see you, Pokemon. So my mom was a teacher for 50 years, an excellent teacher. So was my father. Um, my father used to always say he was a good teacher, but my mom was an exceptional teacher. And it turns out her final lesson was teaching me the value of true patience. Not the kind of patience where you sort of pace back and forth and you fidget and you think, when is this ever going to be over? And then when it is, you sigh and think to yourself, finally, or you say it out loud. It was infinite patience, the only kind of patience that you can have for a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's, which was perfect because it allowed me to um, do the same when I became a caregiver for my father. I always say the 3 greatest things I've ever done in my life. Um, Step up to be a caregiver for my mom, 10 years with Alzheimer's. Um, when Milka and I separated, well, we weren't quite separated, but she had asked for a separation. And turns out she, 23 years in the Air Force, but at the time it was 15, I think, 16. She was going to have to do a tour in Iraq. Um, this is 2008, so it was still a pretty bad time in Iraq. So you can see it would be worrisome. And she asked, even though that we were planning on a separation, if I would stay and take care of my stepdaughter, which of course the answer is yes. Like we were saying with Grim, you serve the people that you love. You serve it. I try to serve everyone in any way that I'm capable of. Sometimes it's not a lot. Sometimes it's a great deal. Uh, but that was tough. That was almost as tough as caring for my mom because, man, what a hard time it is for. She was going into high school, my stepdaughter. A hard time, I think, for a boy or a girl. Gotta say, it might be harder for a girl. Have that insecurity. But we managed. What a great kid. She probably took care of me as much as I took care of her. And we both, were worried about her mom. And then years later, the third thing, greatest thing I've done was uh, shut things down to be a caregiver for my dad. So I never went back into, after my dad passed away and after COVID lifted, I didn't really feel like restarting my business. And I didn't want to join the workforce. I had a little bit of money saved up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do talking nonsense on YouTube. I'm going to show up every day and just talk. Because I know, I started doing YouTube, the burpee community. Believe it or not, guys, there's a limited audience for upper middle-aged, half-naked bald guys doing burpees in their basement. My path to fame was was misguided. Let's see. Grim says, it's hard work, taking care of folks, but it's a blessing, Phil. It actually, yeah, it is definitely a blessing. And again, we get as much out of it as the people that we care for, if not more. You want to be, you want to know how deep your spiritual path is. You want to know if you've learned any of the lessons of decades of meditation, decades of yoga, breath work, all of that stuff. It's really nice to think that, well, I've made so much progress when you're just going on in life. But when you're faced with doing all those tasks, all those, all the things that you can't imagine doing for a parent that you never thought you would ever have to, that's when that's when the rubber meets the road. And it's almost like graduate school in spirituality, graduate school in meditation. Pokemon says, the fact that the greatest thing in your life was taking care of your mother and your father says a lot about you, Yogi. Thank you, Pokemon. I appreciate hearing that. Both my parents gave so much to me. Like I mentioned, though, I had that contentious relationship with my mom. They're deservedly so. I was a punk as a teenager. I was a quiet punk. I was just a sensitive punk, but I was a punk nonetheless. I don't know how many teenage boys weren't. Maybe not all of them. I found my place as a teenager by discovering I didn't have to have a place. I didn't have to fit in with any group. And once I stepped out of that group, everything got easier. Our friend Jacob is here. Jacob drops a link for Pokemon. What's up, Jacob? How are you feeling after those 7 pumps? And drops a link for Grim YouTuber. Thank you, Jacob. So yeah, deciding, one of the things probably the only thing I really wanted to do was to be a writer. And all through the 90s, I was an uninspired writer. I'd write for a few weeks, a few months, and then everything would dry up and I'd get upset. My lifelong depression would kick in over time and I would drink heavily. And then I would think, this is perfect. The long-suffering alcoholic poet. I fit into the stereotype. But what a horrible stereotype to fit into. And when I started meditating seriously in the mid-90s, everything took off. I quit drinking, or drinking left my life. I've told the story quite a bit, so I won't bore anyone again. In 99, alcohol left my life miraculously. And my writing took off. I wrote every single day. I self-published some books. They did fairly well, brief period of time. But at that point, it didn't matter because I was just so in love with writing. So when my dad passed away and I had just a little bit of money saved up, I inherited the house. I split the cost with my brother. I'm still with my now ex-wife. I thought, here's my opportunity. I'm going to show up on YouTube. I'm going to talk about meditation. I'm going to talk about yoga. I'm going to talk about breath work. I'm going to talk about A Course in Miracles, forgiveness, love, share my writing. and see if I can, my goal, to make enough. I don't want to be rich. Make enough. Get by in life to continue the life that I love. Let's see. Grimm says, I look at it like I'm working for the Lord. Any job I ever had, someday he will say, well done, good and faithful servant. Absolutely. That could be right out of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the dialogue between Krishna, Lord of the universe, and Arjuna, where he describes the 4 types of yoga that there are. And one of them is karma yoga. And people think karma is punishment, but it really just means motion, action. And what Krishna is saying, you are entitled to your work, but not the fruition of the work itself. That belongs to God. So the karma yogi is someone who works for the sake of work, for the joy of work, for the joy of being of service for others, and surrenders all of it to God, knowing that the reward isn't really a paycheck. That's nice. That's a great bonus. The reward is exactly what Grimm said. Well done. Well done, faithful servant. Man, that was beautifully said, Grimm. Pokemon gives a salutation to Jacob. For those who don't know, Jacob's one of the good ones. All of them are good ones. But some people have deluded themselves into thinking they're not the good ones. And they don't even know that they're deluded. Our job, all of our jobs, isn't to punish, isn't to judge, isn't to hold grievances, isn't to hold resentments. It's to remind people, you're one of the good ones, but you've forgotten. How can I help you remember? Jacob remembers. Jacob's definitely one of the good ones. He comes in, says hi, he goes right to work for everyone who's here. Without ever saying, at the end of the conversation, he'll say to me, thank you for allowing me to come here and drop links on your live stream. Grimm says, hi Jacob, what's up? Jacob says, brother Pokemon. And hey Grimm YouTuber. Jacob says, the 7 pumps and 7 squat chasers were intense together. It was a good challenge workout. Thank you for asking, brother Mr. Yogi. Our friend Squirrel Sniper is here. You are being talked about today, Squirrel Sniper. Greetings, beautiful souls from across the pond, but under the same skies. Grim YouTuber says, I was blessed to bump into the Stoic lifestyle. I love how it teaches positivity. And you know what? It doesn't teach it for... it doesn't teach it as if you live this way, this is what you'll get. It says you live this way because this is the way to live. A lot of people, man, the word stoic, it's gotten a different connotation than what it originally had. It's a joyous lifestyle. But people think, well, you're being stoic, you're not showing emotion, you're not enjoying yourself. It's the opposite. You enjoy what's given to enjoy. You endure what is given to endure. And you can find joy within the endurance, within the enduring. I learned that during ultra running. Jacob says, hey, brother Sniper. William says, one moment. Squirrel Sniper says, brother Jacob, hope you're having a blessed day. Sniper says, my ears were burning this afternoon. My friend Jessica, who came on the chat the other day, mentioned she goes deep down the rabbit hole of some alternate ways of thinking. And she says some of the channels she visits that you are a moderator there. William says, a quote from interview with Billy G after Monica Lewinsky thing. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Son came to love, be kind, and forgive. The Spirit convicts. The Father judged. A lot of people are trying to be all three. We are instructed to be like the Son. You know what? There's a line in the Course of Miracles that says, ideas leave not their source, and that we are ideas in the mind of God, meaning that we don't lead the mind of God. If Jesus is the Son of God, it means he was as the Father. And Jesus said not to judge. God doesn't even judge. God is unconditional love. How could God judge beyond the capability? Because there's no judgment. Midwest says you will find joy in a Trump economy. Well, let's hope. If it comes to that, let's hope. I hope we find joy in every economy. Man, no way could I wish whoever gets elected, would I possibly wish that things would go bad for anyone. Jacob says, can anyone get on other links when I drop them? Let's see. Yep, I just got the Scroll Sniper. It looks good, Jacob. Midwest said, Proverbs 4:20. Is that the Proverbs that says that I'll find joy in a Trump economy? Grim says, I've been reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. A lot of that book is so addictive. I learn from it daily. I wish we have learned about this book in high school. Isn't it a shame they don't teach stuff like that in high school? Not everyone might take to it, but not everyone needs to take to it. But the ones who know, the ones who feel it, everyone should at least be exposed to all these different things so they can choose. Hey, Adventure Man is here. I was just talking about you. I had asked if anyone had seen Noble and Noble's new name change. For those who don't know, Adventure Man is Noble Scrolling Traveler, the Laughing Buddha, my good friend, Berga, the man of many names, the One Punch Man workout guru. How are you, Noble? Score Simper says, that's two. I feel if I spend my time within the metaverse, I want to teach the children that only good intentions make a great place to be and not a trap for the reciprocation of lower frequency. Grim says, I wish we could get along in this country. We can get along in this country. You know, every political difference is a thought. It's just a thought. And we're identified with those thoughts. Jacob says, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Yogi. You're welcome, Jacob. The difference between a Republican and a Democrat is a thought. I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican. Imagine if we didn't have those labels. This is why the beginning of A Course in Miracles says that we don't see anything the way they actually are. We see everything as a label. Let's see. Hey, Skits is here. Sean, how are you? Good evening, Eric and chat. Hope you all had a great day. It's been a good day. How about you? Hey, you guys subscribe to our friend Sean? He is rebuilding his channel. He had his own epiphany. Hey, Sean, I never asked you, What brought about that epiphany where you decided things are going to be different, that you wanted to head in a specific direction, you wanted to put out meaningful content on your channel of where you are now? William says, Proverbs 4:20, my son, attend to my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Well, that absolutely had nothing to do with the Trump economy, did it? Squirrel Sampras says hi to Noble. Jacob says hey to Skits. William says, Mike cannot quote accurately. That's okay. I got what you were saying. Skits is saying hi to everyone. William says, I tried and failed, but today is only day one, a cop out of an answer, but I felt compelled to join in by my own effort probably. But should I fail, will also be something I learned from. I wouldn't think of it as a failure. Doing a word fast, a vow of silence, is difficult. This is why, a lot of times they say start with 6 hours, start with an hour. But if you want to do a true fast, word-wise, no books, no internet, you can write, but no reading, because you're still taking in information. What you want to do is the fifth limb of yoga, which is pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses. We're always so focused outward, and our every time we talk is focused outwards. So by not speaking, we get that rare opportunity to turn inwards. Jerry's here. Hey Jerry, how have you been? I haven't seen you for a while. Jerry says, hey everyone, how are you all, fam? Boom says hello to all. Boom says, I will try again tomorrow, but it won't make a spectacle out of it. Yeah, it's always better, you just do a quiet approach. I talked about this a while back. I love Quaker meetings. There's no sermon. You sit in a room, everyone's quiet until they feel compelled to speak from Spirit, from the Holy Spirit. And then they get up and they say whatever they have to say, and they sit back down, and everyone returns to silence. It's a beautiful way to spend a service. If you go to almost any mass, do you really think that you're hearing the voice of God? Or do you think that you're hearing the voice of social commentary by a priest, by a reverend, by a minister? I'm not saying everyone's like that. And of course, maybe you have heard the word of God spoken through a minister, which would be awesome if you had. William says, I came across a good quote from George Jenko, I lost fear when I followed faith. I got mixed feelings about that. Give me a second here. Leo Tolstoy. Please forgive my mispronunciation of everything. The Death of Ivan Ilyich. The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Have you guys read it? It's been decades and decades since I've read it. Who said I had not considered that I was reading books I had left open on the shelf to collect dust. Um, at the end of his life, I haven't read this book again probably since high school, but it stayed with me. At the end of his life, his dying words were um, along the lines of, "Oh, what if everything I've lived for was wrong?" So I'm not sure about faith. You don't want to live by someone else's conviction. You don't want to live by someone else's conviction, be it Krishna, be it the Bible, be it the Upanishads. I want to live by the conviction of actuality. What am I experiencing? When I forgive, I'm full of joy. I'm at peace. When I hold a resentment, I have a troubled mind. When I meditate, my mind gets very, very, very quiet, and I feel the presence of God. That's my conviction, and it's beyond faith. Now, having said that, when wise yogis and meditation teachers, um, teachers from A Course in Miracles told me, have a little faith that this will work, I believed them enough to keep trying until I had the actuality of experience. Scrolls episode. So, when do we start to contemplate life? When we are of age or when we are wise enough? Good question. You know what? Some never do. Some never, ever, ever, or maybe very briefly, and then they're quickly brought back in line. They're told that's not how you get ahead. That's not how you get a good job. You won't get into a good college thinking that way, or get it out of your system. Go backpack across Europe and come on back, and then go to college, get a job, get married, have kids. But does anyone ever ask those all important questions? Self inquiry, jhana yoga, the path of contemplation. Who am I? And never settling on an answer. And that means not going to the Bible and saying, oh, God tells me I am this. Not going to Bhagavad Gita and saying, Krishna tells me I am this. When you get to the point where you don't have an answer and you shrug your shoulders and say, it's a mystery, I don't know who I am, now you're discovering who you are. Man, I'm way behind. You guys should have yelled at me. Jerry says, hey, Eric, I wanted to share something which recently happened, by the way. I left my current apartment due to abusive environment, and I am not feeling good at all. Thought to share with y'all, and might find peace. I hope you do find peace. We're here with you, my friend. Runner Boy says, yo, what's up, Runner Boy? You going live tomorrow? You got some big lifts? You're starting everything over. You're starting a new cycle, right? Or are you going to do a down cycle? William says, the largest two being the Bible, but I stumbled upon a podcast that sparked my interest. I struggled with disconnecting here. I witness now it is out of self-preservation and selfish greed. Chose not to. Let's see. Well, you know, when you say self-preservation, the first thing I think of is when you're approaching quiet, the ego is going to complain. The ego does not exist in quiet. The ego exists in noise, in sound, and always screaming its name. We see that on the live streams all the time. People who come in shouting, me, 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 my opinion, my opinion, my opinion. This is the way things are because I think so, and because my parents thought so, and because my teachers told me it was so, because the Bible says it's so. But if everything got quiet, was it Pascal who said, I'm glad I'm in front of Google. All a man's troubles All a man's troubles, I'm going to look it up in a minute, but I'll paraphrase. All a man's trouble stems from his inability to sit alone in a room. There it is. Give me 1 second. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone, because the ego won't allow it, because the ego ceases to exist. Oh, Jerry, hey, you can say what you want, man. You know we're here for you. Jerry says, well, I guess I shouldn't say anything. I'm sorry, guys. Please continue. I'll take a leave. I'm just not okay. Nothing else. Hey, Jerry, my friend, we're here for you. We always have been, always will be. William says, Jerry, you're welcome here. Absolutely. Thank you, William. Jerry says, I'll be okay. So sorry for coming in between just like that. Hey, no, not a problem. Skid says, my day was okay. Thank you, Eric. The reason I had the epiphany is because I found inspiration from people like you and Jace. I want to create more meaningful content to grow and connect with others more. Hey, I see that happening for you. That's okay, Sean. William says, Yuri, no need to be sorry. We're here, so let's talk about it. Absolutely. Jacob says, Brother Jerry, you're always welcome. You're very welcome here. This is all about building the community. You are a brother to us all. This is family. Thank you, Jacob. Leo says, my brother, much love, brother. Yogi the Goat, wishing you a great evening, sir. You as well. Hey, man, you and Oscar rocked it. Love watching you guys. Let me get down to the bottom. I want to catch Jerry. Jerry says, well, here's the thing. My superior used to abuse me during our team briefs, and I had talked to him one-on-one and told him not to do that and be respectful, because what I'm hired for, giving my everything. And last Friday he did just the same and asked me what kind of name do I have. Never anyone with such family name as Solex. Apologize if I mispronounced that. Show me one person with that name. However, I responded with kindness. Nice. And said sorry if he felt bad for anything. However, I couldn't take such abuse for no reason, and write a mail and left it. I'm a bit tense now, as I love my work and the task in the department. I don't know if I've done something wrong. Well, I can't say. But I think you can. How did you feel when you did it? Did you feel a sense of relief? And I know, you said that you loved your position. If you find yourself in another position, you might love that one as well. But you know what? It's so hard to keep taking abuse every day and every day. And you have every right to stand up for yourself. Especially given the fact, as you said, you loved your job and you were doing a great performance at it. William says, I would say maybe go to his supervisor or human resources as to try to remedy it. But if there's an unwillingness to change, you were better off standing up for yourself. I would agree. And Jerry says, honestly, yes, I felt relief now. Stay with that. Don't project into the future. You don't know how it's going to play out. Might work out for the better. To be honest, it might not. But right now, you feel relief. Stay with that. If you feel relief, it means you did the right thing regardless of how it plays out. I always talk about forgiving. I always talk about being kind. I always talk about extending love. Never leave yourself out of that equation, because we always turn outwards and say, well, I guess I can try with this person, or I could probably do it with this person. And the last person we ever think of doing it to is ourselves. But it is just as important to extend love, forgiveness, and care to yourself as it is to anyone else, because guess what? You are a self, sort of. Um, and that's why you felt that relief, because you stood up, you took care of yourself, you loved yourself. Never feel bad for loving yourself. Jerry says we'll start at a new base. From first of next month. And that's not too far away. So there you go. And now, by the way, not only did you start a new base, now everyone knows that you have the self-esteem to stand up for yourself, that you care enough about yourself to make the tough decision to do something like that. So good for you. Good for you all around. Jacob says 5 pumps tomorrow, 7 pump Tuesday. We're at 7 pump Tuesday now. Man, I'm just getting used to 2 pump Tuesday. What are you guys doing to me? I'm blaming all this on Leo. Leo says, do burpee guys? Absolutely. William says, so practice solitary confinement? Yes. As a matter of fact, yes. But you get to a certain point where you can practice solitary confinement amongst people as well, because your mind will start growing more and more quiet. This is a perfect time to meditate, because you're doubling down on a quiet mind. Ask yourself, or let me ask you, and if you don't mind sharing your answer, you don't have to though, obviously. Why do you want to take a vow of silence for a day? William says, Yogi, the way I see it, if I'm able to help more than not, and I spend a lifetime believing in Christ, am I worse off? For what detriment is there in being so resolved in faith? If his works are performed through me, love, kindness, and forgiveness is still a good life. Absolutely, I agree. And it could be just as good in the absence of believing in Christ. Of course, I'm not advocating not to believe. Man, I returned to having a relationship with Jesus after decades, after leaving Catholic school and studying Buddhism and yoga, other traditions, shamanism. And I found myself being drawn back in, not to Christianity, but to a relationship with Jesus. Not through any words that I could find, although, coincidentally, A Course in Miracles, according to the scribe's the important thing, not an author, that it's information that received by Jesus on the actuality of his teachings, not so much Jesus the man, Jesus the Jesus of Christ consciousness. So for me, redeveloping that relationship with Jesus came through, because when I first studied A Course in Miracles, I dismissed the voice of Jesus and said, not interested. I can replace Jesus with Krishna, or I could just say a universal truth, or I could say love. It was only later and fairly recently that I began to get the realization that it's important for me to cultivate that relationship with the Jesus of A Course in Miracles. We can call him the mystic Jesus, the Jesus that has no concern for social commentary. The Jesus has said, pray in silence and alone. The Jesus has said, feed the hungry for Christ's sake. Literally, for Christ's sake. Feed the hungry, clothe the clothless, home the homeless. And he tells us that. And yet, what do we do? How do we live our lives? We live our lives the complete opposite. We go to church on Sunday and we say that we're good Christians because we have these social beliefs. William says, I've considered monastic life, but present circumstances prevent it to my understanding. Let's see. I have considered that myself several times. Jerry says, let me get back. Jerry, I'm sorry. HR department has given me and helped me. I'm leaving and going somewhere else. I do forgive him. Maybe there's something else he might be hurt, but I don't understand why people have to be so bad. Because I talked about this earlier in the live stream. They don't know otherwise. They're seeing life through their own lens of perception. They're seeing life through their own wounds, their own hurt, all the mind stuff, all the hurt, all the psychological suffering. They're seeing life that way. That's how they perceive it. So that's the world they live in. If they could see their own glory, their own light, their own lovingness, their own lovability, they would see differently. Jerry, I've known you for a little bit on the live stream, and I know you, I see the beautiful stuff you do on Instagram. You perceive the world through the lens of love, and that's the world you live in, so you can't understand someone like your former supervisor. But you do understand enough that you can open up. You can open up to that person. Let's see, Yoli says, yo, finally out of my timeout. You are out of your timeout. I apologize for that. It was not me who put you in timeout. However, it was sort of interrupting the flow of the conversation. But hey, you could be a monk within the world. As a matter of fact, there was a book written, and I believe that was the title, A Monk in the World. You could do that. Let's see. William says, I would forever, but realistically appears I am offensive or otherwise unsupportive of all efforts in life. But many would be willing to accept silence as a way of life unless I join Buddhism. Or, a yogic monastery. Even Christian. Hey, man, William, have you ever read Thomas Merton, Jesuit priest, who gained a true understanding in his last year when he was visiting Tibet? He was given a pointer by a Dzogchen master. Dzogchen is the mystical aspect of, as if it could get any more mystical. Direct revelation of his truest self by a Dzogchen master, Tibetan Buddhist master. And yet he never lost his faith in being a Jesuit priest. Even with that, he saw it as another face of Christ. His, the 7-Story Mountain, spiritual classic, and it is about his road to being a Jesuit priest. You would love it. As well, man, I really wish you'd at least pick up and dive into A Course in Miracles. For whatever reason, to me, it seems like it has you all over it. Because again, it's Jesus saying, I'm here to correct some misperceptions. You have been living your life from an outer perspective, and yet I told you explicitly in the New Testament that the kingdom of heaven is within. This is how to get there. And the key to forgiveness. Here's the thing. How often in any service have you heard 7 times 70 mentioned? Forgiveness is sort of an offset. William says it was only for 30 minutes, but welcome back. Oli says, what's up? Jacob says, thank you for having me on your live stream once again, brother Mr. Yogi. Truly appreciate it. Much love and respect. Big salute. Big salute to you, my friend. Oli says it was 50 minutes. Rowan says, bro, I'm a mod. I have 30 minutes, 24 hours. 50 minutes is not an option. and he was the one that got you. I thought it might have been Optimob. Well, he says, I mean, all I did was joke face. You did a lot of joke face. Some people would say spamming the conversation. William says, if there's a Christian monastery, I would love to, and did not catch the name, but I would love to go to Tibet. Me too. Thomas Merton. Hold on. Just happened to be right by me. 7-Story Mountain. An autobiography of faith. He was a beautiful man. Absolutely loved Thomas Merton. He wrote several books on Zen, all from the perspective of being a Jesuit priest. Sendesh, how are you, my friend? Hey, for those who don't know, our friend Oli, he's a new friend, is trying to get 50 subs so he can do live streams. So if anyone would like to subscribe to him, be much appreciated by Ollie, and a good thing to do. Ollie says, I'm like a min, kind of can still kick, but they can kick him in for sure. Don't know what that means. Sandesh says, hi Eric, how was your weekend, buddy? It was good, Sandesh. Thank you for asking. How about yours? Well, he says, but if I got timed out once, I would lose all of it. So yeah, I mean, hey, you got to get the bones to help you. I did not understand a single thing that you said, my friend. Barb is just popping in to say hugs and blessings. Hugs and blessings to you, my friend. How you feeling, Barb? Jacob drops the link for our friend Barb. Thank you. Barb says hi to everyone. Zindish says, Eric, how are you so fit? Do you not eat carbs at all? Man, I eat nothing but carbs. I was wondering, was the last time you had a pizza or breadsticks? My cheeks are like balloons. Any tips for me, Eric? Well, I'm a vegan, so I eat a lot of oatmeal. I eat a lot of lentils, a fair amount of rice, not a ton, but a fair amount. Lots of fruit, lots of vegetables. Tips: start slow. Find something that you love to do. Fall in love with it and do it every day. Take an occasional day off, but virtually every day. Never to the point where you're completely exhausted, but something every day. And walk. Walk every day. Every single day. Never missing a day. Walking will change your life. Roy says, once more, please forgive me. For what, William? William says, hey, Barb, welcome. I'm glad we brought this up, William. I'm going to have to revisit this book myself. It's been quite some time, and I don't even know why it was sitting where it was where I could reach. I thought it might have been buried back on one of the shelves back there. Oh, book and the author. Thomas Merton, Merton, The 7-Story Mountain, an autobiography of faith. And he certainly had temptations to step outside his faith as well. And as I mentioned over and over again, you're the only person I really keep saying to look at it. Everyone hears me mention it all the time, but I never say, guys, you should study this, you should study this. You're the only person that I really urge, and I hope it doesn't sound like I'm pushing it. Maybe I am pushing it. Sandish says, do you do Surya Namaskar, Eric? I do every day, and I've done it every day for probably 30 plus years. I'm up at 2:30 every morning, do my breath work, I meditate. I go downstairs and I do right now about 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes of yoga. It begins with just warming up joint mobility, and then I begin it with sun salutation, Surya Namaskar. And it used to be I would do 6 to 8 rounds, sometimes more. Now I do 2. And then I go into my standing yoga routine, a brief pause, and then I go into a prone yoga asana. And then I make my 1 cup of coffee for the day, and I come up and I write. William says, thank you very much. You're welcome. But, and William, I hope you don't mind me talking about the course to you. And again, you're the only one I really keep recommending it to because of the daily lessons. Do this. Just seems to me that you like the discipline. You like that, okay, this is what I do today. And it gives you 365 days of learning to listen to the Holy Spirit versus listening to your ego. 365 days plus the text and a manual for teachers where it teaches you to forgive and extend love. It teaches you to be able to see your perceptions as being based in fear, and that you have the option of extending yourself in love instead. Every moment. You can listen to the voice of fear, which is the ego, and it doesn't say, it doesn't fight the ego. It doesn't tell you to go to battle with the ego. It says recognize the ego. Find your true self. Some people call it Buddhism for the West. Others call it American Veda. Veda being the Vedic teachings. Jerry Mack says, hello, Mark. How are you? And hello to Barb. Do we have a Mark in here? Oh, probably. And I don't know their name. You know, because I have usernames. That just shows you how easily confused I get. Jerry Max, how are you? Sendish says Starbucks coffee is a lot of sugar. One Venti caramel macchiato has 42 grams of sugar. Wow. Yeah, that is a lot. I drink my coffee absolutely black. I used to drink it throughout the day. I'm down to 1 cup, and man, do I love that 1 cup. It's become part of my writing ritual. I know when my yellow cup is sitting on my desk, front of the screen, by my keyboards, it's time for inspiration to arrive. Gonna take my herbal pill for sleep. So I apologize if I missed anyone up top. I wanted to make sure we talked to Jerry. Jared said that they forget how to treat another human being. Rather like trash. Yeah, absolutely. That's the key word. They forget. They forget. Our job, we could say our only job, our only role, is to help people remember. We can't force people to remember, but we can help people remember. And the only way we can help is by example. Jerry says, I'm doing well this afternoon. Hot muggy day in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's odd because I'm in Maryland, considerably farther south, and it's beautiful. Mid 70s, low humidity. Sendis says, you think sugar-free Coke syrup are really good? I know this is off topic, but just wanted to know your thoughts. Nothing's ever off topic. Always willing to talk about whatever anyone's interested in. Nope, I don't think it's very good. Empty calories. Serves no purpose. If you were in the desert and it was the only thing to drink to get fluid, it would serve a purpose. But other than that, it no nutritional value. I think someone told me once, well, it has some B vitamins. There are better ways of getting B vitamins. Take a B vitamin. So, hey, William, again, I apologize if it sounds like I was pushing anything on you. My cat's meowing at me. I think our friend Grimm has inspired me to either dig out or buy on Amazon Meditations. It's been some time. And it's one of those books that I mentioned before. Everyone should have. I have my list of what I call, holy books. Little bookstool, little book stand. I have the Upanishads. I have the Bhagavad Gita. I have the Dhammapada. I don't have the Bible there, but I have it nearby. As well as Shiva Sutras. I don't even remember what all else, but several others. And it's my bedtime reading. I want to take those words into my subconscious. And I don't want to read something, I love fiction. I don't read a ton of it right now, but I do love certain series. But I don't want to read that before I go to bed, not because it's bad, but because it stimulates the mind and doesn't lead to restful sleep. You want to keep turning a page, hence the name Page Turner. So you want to read something familiar, something that is almost sort of boring in its familiarity, but has a deep, profound meaning to you. And you carry those words, you're planting a seed. In Sanskrit, it's called a sankalpa, which means intent. You're literally planting a seed in the subconscious that germinates through the night, and you wake up in the morning with those words of wisdom no longer in your mind, but now it's in your heart, and you live your life from that perspective. Sendesh says, I feel so good, Eric. In Eric's live stream, you're a very calm and kind person. I enjoy talking to you, my friend. Thank you, Sendesh, and I feel the same with you. Always enjoy when you come in. Always have great insights. And when you ask a question, it leads to a great conversation. Anyway, I was saying about meditations, that should be a book that I should have on that nightstand for a book to reach to. And you do it almost randomly, unless you have an urge to pick up something. So in just a couple minutes, we'll wrap things up. This was a good live stream. Appreciate all you guys coming in. 1, keeping me company. 2, sharing your stories with me. Whatever little story that we have, slices of the day. Let's see. Cinder says, do you still live with your family, Eric? Wife and kids? I don't. When my father passed away, I inherited his house. along with my brother, and we decided we both loved where we live. When I was ultra running and I would want to do a 30-mile run, I could leave front steps of my father's house, do a round trip 30 miles, all on bike paths, all through woods, all through beautiful communities, and only cross one road twice, out and back, and find myself on actual trails through along the Patuxent River. So we decided we were going to split it, him and I, and it's worked out pretty well for the most part. But I am still connected with my ex-wife on a deep and meaningful level that has just grown through the years leading up to our divorce, after our divorce, and every day we spend together. And we do pretty much spend every day together. It's as, again, even more of a profound relationship because we've been through the fire together. If you want to find out how deeply you love your wife or your husband, whatever the case may be, get a divorce. If you want to practice unconditional love, put some conditions there and see what happens. Can I still love you? Not in spite of this, but can I still love you? As soon as we say, I love you in spite of this, I love you even though, we're no longer practicing unconditional love or unconditional forgiveness. When we say, I forgive you because of what you did, because of what I perceived you doing or whatever. And you can't reconcile with that kind of forgiveness because there's always going to be that resentment. There's always going to be that judgment and a grievance, even if it's left unsaid. But when you practice true forgiveness, we live in that world of possibilities, potentiality. You can reshape the relationship. It can start anew in an instant. I'm actually probably more in love with Mocha than when we got married. Sandesh says, I feel alone sometimes as my family is in India and it's a 26-hour flight. Do you get a chance to go back to India every so often or so? I do miss my father quite a bit. When I was Cinder says it's good that you still talk and meet your ex-wife every day. We still need someone to share and talk. Yeah, we do. Cinder visits once a year. Man, that must be a really special occasion for you and for your family as well. I've read, I got it up on this bookshelf, reread a book by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen master, on no death, no fear, no fear, no death. Sorry. And he talked about when his mother died and he missed her intensely. And yet he realized that every single molecule that made up his mother is still in existence. Every single atom that made up those molecules is still circulating. Every single particle is still available. So where is your mother? Where is his mother? Where could she be except present right now, occurring and reoccurring as something else and something else and something else? So when he wants to experience the love of his mother, all he has to do is watch an autumn leaf falling in a breeze, hear the splash of a fish or a call of a bird, and his mom's present because she's as much that as she ever was his mother. And that brought me a whole lot of comfort, especially considering my dad was a science teacher and he would have loved that description. He was not religious. He was a bit, man, I would say agnostic, but he probably leaned more towards being an atheist. He believed in being kind for the sake of being kind, not because you're going to be rewarded for it somewhere else. I used to talk about karma with him quite a bit, especially the understanding of karma as motion and not as retribution, or not doing good deeds to get good things. Karma is simply the progression of motion an effect, an effect, an effect from infinite causes. There's no one cause to anything. Everything has infinite causes. All right. With that, guys, I think I'm going to wrap things up for the day. Shut things down just a little bit early. Did make it an hour. But again, I appreciate the live stream. Everyone who came in. I'm going to apologize again, Roy. I hope I didn't not offend you, my friend. Sendish, thank you for the conversation. Jerry Max, thanks for coming in. Barb, I hope you're feeling better today. Ollie, feel free to drop in anytime. And our good friend Jacob was here, dropping links, very much appreciated. Hey, Jerry, keep us posted on how things are going. My thoughts are with you, my friend. Our friend Leo is here, urging everyone to do burpees. Not a bad thing, guys. Not a bad thing to do. Skits was here. Squirrel Sniper was here. Sorry, guys, I missed a portion of the conversation up above. Runner Boy had said, yo, hope to see Runner Boy tomorrow morning. And let's see. Midwest was here, dropping his political wisdom. And Grim and Pokemon, thank you guys. Grim started the conversation off with us. Grim and William, very much appreciated. It was fun talking to you guys. And Grim, you inspired me to either find my copy of Meditations or get a new one and have it on my bedside. So thank you for that, my friend. I'm going to see everyone tomorrow, 5 o'clock. If you're around, we're going to continue reading from A Course in Miracles. We went from the Bhagavad Gita to the Tao Te Ching. I started out a little bit with Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, but I just felt called to keep steering towards the Course in Miracles. So, with that said, take care. Oh, let me catch up here with Sendish. Sendish says, my mother is alone. They're actually, My dad passed away in the pandemic. I'm sorry, my friend. It's a great time. I visit there every time once a year. When you talk to your mother next, send her my love, my friend, as well. My love to you. I will talk to you later. Take care.